Hay searches Yin's small shop and finds a letter left by Amber. It's assumed that she wants to meet him somewhere. Lucky for him, Huang arrives just in time to offer a ride. But it turns out to not be so lucky, since Huang tries keeping Hay away from Amber. Apparently, it's orders from the syndicate that Hay can't meet Amber. He tries running away, but Huang shoots him in the leg, and a small fight ensues. Hay gets the upper hand and shocks Huang unconscious. We cut to Amber and Yin sitting in a shrine. Amber confesses her adoration for Hay, reminiscing about the past when she saw him laugh. His smile captivated her. It's at that moment she realized that she could do anything for him, essentially revealing her love for him. She says that Yin feels the same way and asks her to take care of Hay. This almost suggests that Amber is about to do something that will end with her death, and it's also a bit of very good foreshadowing. On his way to the shrine, Hay is blocked by Maki. Maki realizes that Lee, the person he met earlier, is in fact Hay, the Black Reaper. His jealousy for Amber's love overtakes him, and he decides to kill Hay. But before he can, November shows up with July and Misaki. November gets his revenge battle with Maki, but this time he has support. July guides him through the trapped house, keeping him away from handprints Maki put out. July is a fucking boss in this scene, protecting November multiple times. We also learn just how deeply Maki craves for Amber's approval. He wants to prove himself to Amber, to show that he's better than Hay. Finally, we get to the climax of the episode. Hay finally meets Amber, and it's kind of heartbreaking. They seemed to be good friends in the past. It was always Hay, his sister Bai, and Amber. But in this interaction, Hay slaps Amber, not once, but twice. He feels betrayed by her, so much so that he promises to kill her after she tells him what happened to his sister. Amber tries to play this off by messing around with him, almost as if she's trying to relive the good old days. But Hay's not having it. He demands her to be honest with him. When she still isn't serious, he slaps her. Something really painful happens in this moment. It almost feels like a slap to the audience. For once, we get to see someone who knows Hay and genuinely cares for him. Amber wants to go back to those days when things were simpler. She wants to be friends again with Hay. But Hay's so dead set on finding his sister that he completely ignores Amber's wants. It's sad to see their friendship fall to this level, and it almost reflects in Amber's expression as well. It's like she understands this better than anyone else, that they can never go back to those good times, that perhaps she'll never get to see Hay smile again. But she tried anyway. She tried one last time to see some iota of joy in the face of someone she loved. Before they can finish their conversation, Misaki shows up and points her gun at Hay. Everybody starts using their abilities, but before any violence can begin, Amber uses her power to stop time. Now that's a badass power. I just looked into her power, and apparently it's called chronokinesis. It lets her stop time, rewind it to some degree, and even enable her to have knowledge of the future, sort of like precognition. Additionally, while time is stopped, she can allow others to move freely along with herself. So she's fucking cracked. We have another really somber moment after Amber stops time. She tells Hay that she's wanted to see him for years. It pushes her to tears, and she finally kisses him. Then she says goodbye. While these two episodes don't have anything to do with the larger plot, they were incredibly well done. Mostly, they served to develop a large portion of the cast. We learned more about Hay, his neighbors, Yin, Mao, Misaki, and Kanami. We were also introduced to a new character, Kenji Sakurai, a low-level gangster. Hay meets Kenji at work after a fight takes place. Kenji treats Hay to a meal and drives him home. But when his motorcycle stops working, Hay invites Kenji inside. The two talk for a while before Kenji notices how noisy the neighbors are. He decides to put a stop to it and breaks down the door, telling them to keep it down. The landlady shows up and scolds Kenji for breaking down the door and tells him to fix it. With everyone's help, they fix the door and then they have a meal together. It's a really great scene to show the diverse cast of characters that live in the apartment complex. We learn a little more about each of Hay's neighbors, like Irene, who's from the Philippines, but traveled to Japan to find work for her family. Lewis traveled to Japan to preach the essence of rock, whatever that means. Joshua came from Israel to study Japanese animation. Then there's the landlady, who learned 7 different languages just because of her tenants. Kenji likes how quirky and wild the place is, and even considers moving there. And just when you think Hei is the only normal person, everyone watches him eat way more food than anyone ever could. So, it really is a place for strange people. I love how this anime portrays the most mundane scenes with a jovial atmosphere. It's these much-needed breaks from the gritty dark world that surrounds them that makes it so incredibly refreshing. And it always ends with a moral lesson to take away. For instance, after they eat, Hei's neighbors invite Kenji and Hei over to keep partying. Hei apologizes, saying that he had an appointment to attend. In the little time that Kenji has spent with Hei, he already knows how lonely Hei appears, even though he tries to conceal it. Despite his apparent ignorance and clumsy behavior, Kenji is actually more socially aware than he appears. Hito Tsubashi, Kenji's boss, calls Kenji in for an assignment to take care of a doll for their employers. After thinking about it for a while, Kenji decides to throw away his life and run away with the doll. It's a surprising turn of events how quickly he made this decision, since he's now giving up his whole life in Tokyo. And when he does, there's only one place he can turn to for help. Hei tells Kenji that he's throwing his life away, that he didn't think any of this through. Kenji agrees, but even so, he sees this doll as a person. He believes that she'll never be happy working as a slave to the corrupt elite. In another scene, we see Hito putting a hit out on Kenji, telling his men to capture him. Then we get a fun little moment between Misaki and Kanami shopping on their day off. Misaki remembers the back of the Black Reaper from the shrine and approaches the figure. She's surprised to find out that it's Lee, the server from the hotel at Alice's birthday party. Then Kanami walks up all like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" She immediately assumes that something romantic is going on between the two, and there's some real gems here. Hei returns home to find Yin waiting inside along with Kenji and the doll. She was watching Hei, which is kinda cute, and wanted to help him. While Yin helps the doll change, Hei informs Kenji of the reality of his situation. He will always be on the run for the rest of his life, living in fear for pursuers who might come at any moment. It'll be hard to find a stable job, a house, all while taking care of this brainwashed girl. Despite all this, Kenji is determined to take care of her. Hei literally cannot understand why Kenji is doing something so incredibly rational. Kenji reflects on one of Hei's neighbors, Irene, talking about how she works abroad to send money back home to her family. But it's not just blood relations that make a difference here. Everyone has a reason for living. Everyone has something they want to protect from the bottom of their heart. And that's really what these 2 episodes are about. Kenji lives by his whims, never thinking too far ahead of his actions. He's impulsive and spontaneous, but he's also authentic and joyful. He lives honestly, never betraying his values. Hei is the opposite. He's a slave to his past, just like he's a slave to the syndicate. He lives a life of despair, unable to go back to the days when he could protect his sister. His objective is to find the truth about where his sister is and how she disappeared. And he will do whatever is necessary to uncover that truth, even if it means living inauthentically. Hei is a survivor. He's strong, rational, and cynical. All these traits are what have raised him to the level of such an infamous contractor. But what do any of these things matter? What does wealth or power or status matter when you can't even preserve your reason for life? Kenji could never make it to the level of Hei's despair because he would die before he would betray his own values. Even at the end of this arc, when Kenji is about to die from Hito, his boss, he's already made up his mind. He will die to protect his reason for life. He may not be as good a survivor as Hei, but he refuses to live any other way than what is most important to him. We close the episode with Hito asking Hei a question. Is there something that you want to protect with your life? Hito used to have someone like that, a reason for living, but he lost her. This question lingers in Hei's mind, doubling down on why he's moving forward. Is what he's doing, going through all this pain, going to such lengths to find his sister, even if it means being the syndicate's slave, worth it? Well, we get our answer. Hei walks back toward his fictional life under the guise of Lee, awaiting his next orders from the syndicate. I don't believe this is Hei's authentic self. While his goal is noble, going to such lengths to finding his sister. Hei has lost what it's meant to be human. He's lonely. Barely anyone cares for him. He continues his days carrying out missions for the Syndicate against his will. He's a shell of his former self. But he keeps moving forward in the hope that one day he can be with his sister again. This is a small detail at the end of the arc, but it's something that I liked. Kenji makes it out of Tokyo with the doll. He sends a package to Hei, an Akita dish meant to be shared between everyone. Hei asks the landlady if she can distribute it out to everyone, but she refuses, telling him to do it instead. So he does, and the episode ends with him knocking on his neighbor's door. I interpret that Kenji knew how lonely Hei was, and he sent the meal so that Hei could eat with everyone again. He did this so that, at least for one more meal, Hei wouldn't be alone. These two episodes deal with two large plots. First, it tells us Huang's backstory and how he was initiated into the Syndicate. Second, it deals with the idea of a contractor's humanity. Throughout, we watch Huang's lonely life take a toll on him. He's lonely, working in law enforcement as what appears to be a detective. Though he doesn't have family or friends, he occasionally visits with his coworker and his wife. More recently, he met a woman who was trying to pickpocket him, but they soon became friends. In one horrible night, Huang loses the two people he cares about most: Izosaki, his work partner, and Shihoko, a woman who had confessed her love for him. But as it turns out, Shihoko was just using Huang to complete a mission for the Syndicate. After killing his friend, she leaves, never speaking to him again. In a mission to infiltrate a cult, Huang finds out that a Syndicate agent undercover inside the cult turns out to be Shihoko. The Syndicate had ordered him to kill her, but when it comes down to it, Huang can't do it. Even though Shihoko had betrayed him, she confesses that she truly did have feelings for him. It wasn't all just an act. It was also her who preserved Huang from losing his memories of that night. Otherwise, the Syndicate would have taken them away. When Hei finally finds the cult's leader, she appears aged. This is her remuneration for using her ability, taking away her youth. The guru wants to talk with Hei before she dies. She asks why Hei allows the Syndicate to exploit him. At the same time, she realizes that he doesn't have much of a choice. They would kill him if he acted on his own. The anime has told us one thing and shown us another up until this point. People consistently talk about contractors as killing machines without emotions, but then we're consistently shown the humanity of each of these people. They all have stories, history, people they once loved, things that they enjoy. They're human in every way, but we're told that they're not. People believe contractors are emotionless monsters, but Hei dispels this myth, though he doesn't believe his own words. The guru agrees with him, saying, "That's what they want you to think," referring to the fact that someone or something is trying to make contractors less than human. The guru created her cult, a sort of religion for contractors to defect to, in order to escape the use of powerful institutions. The guru asserts that contractors are as human as everyone else. Hei objects to this notion, saying that contractors don't feel guilt. The guru says that crimes will never cease to exist. It's not contractors, but bad people that commit evil acts. Hei says that contractors have superpowers, and this is why they aren't human. The guru sees these superpowers as just a bonus. It's not the superpowers that make a person evil. If someone wanted to act heinously, they could use a gun or knife. She then highlights the true difference between contractors and humans, which is their mental composition. Contractors are more rational. It's this rationality that leads them to kill, steal, and manipulate others, all toward a goal of maximizing humanity's profit. Hei's final counter is that contractors can't dream. The guru says that Hei is wrong. She knows this to be true, since she herself has dreamed before. It's the only reason why she lived up until this point. It's the reason why she chose to use her powers to create the cult. She wanted to atone for any wrong she had ever committed. Hei returns to their hideout, waiting for Huang to finish the job, but Huang gives in to his humanity and refuses to kill Shihoko. He instead tells Hei to do it, not only to Shihoko, but also himself. Hei refuses. Instead, he tells them to run away. For the first time, Hay shows a rebellious nature, saying that he's not a dog to the syndicate, and none of them should be either. Huang has saved Hay many times before, and Hay hasn't forgotten this. Though they attempt to escape, it proves futile. The syndicate knew everything that was happening and arranged for both of them to die. Shihoko knew this, and in an attempt to save Huang, she sacrificed herself by running into oncoming traffic. With her dead, the syndicate might allow Huang to live. Episode 21 and 22 are the rising action episodes, leading toward the climactic finale. It begins with a scientist working on the meteor fragment deep inside the Pandora Research Center. Dr. Robert Schroeder apparently solved something incredibly important, and just in time, as a contractor appears to kidnap him. We learn that the Evening Primrose, Amber's organization, has the objective of attaining public recognition and acquiring greater rights. Misaki's boss tells her to negotiate with the US Embassy to raise their awareness of the EPR. Unfortunately, the representative in charge is a total idiot, ensuring Misaki that everything will be fine. He refuses her help until she can receive permission from the US government. In response to this, Misaki camps outside the embassy with her team in case anything goes wrong, and it turns out to be a good idea, since pandemonium ensues. As it turns out, Hay and his team are tasked with bombing the US Embassy. It was originally assumed from Misaki that the bomb threat was the intention of the EPR, but as we find out, it appears to be the syndicate behind the threat. Hay makes it inside with Mao, serving as a distraction, and Hay successfully plants the bomb. However, he runs into trouble, finding an old rival appear. Do you remember Elfier Guy? Well, he's back. Before Hay can leave, Wei finds him, and they continue where they left off last time. They fight for some amount of time, but then Wei escapes. We cut to the headquarters of the Evening Primrose to find that Mao has been kidnapped, but he's not alone, finding November there too. Although November wasn't kidnapped, he wanted to meet with Amber. They soon get to talking, and Amber allows Dr. Schroeder to explain the situation. According to his hypothesis, every contractor on the planet is going to disappear. When we jump back to the scene of their discussion, the doctor informs everyone that they, meaning I assume Pandora, wasn't responsible for the disappearance of South America. In fact, it didn't disappear at all. Something unexplainable happened. Hay infiltrates the building, alerting the EPR. He deactivates the lights in the building, causing Misaki to notice it from her car. Before Hay can make it to Mao, Wei appears to stop him. Hay is able to get away from both Wei and the naked lady, trapping Amber. He threatens to kill her. But before he can, the meteor fragment in Amber's pocket activates. In this moment, Hay hears his sister's voice. He drops to his knees, giving Amber the time she needs to escape. After making it out, November confronts his boss. I could be wrong, but it appears as though the man is working for the syndicate, and November has finally figured it out. He knew he was going to die, so he wanted to take out his boss with him, and he succeeded. Not long after, November dies. In the final scene, we hear what Mao learned from the meeting with the EPR. The syndicate's ultimate objective is to erase every contractor from the face of the planet. This is why Amber went rogue and betrayed them, creating her own organization to save the contractors. Even after hearing this, Hay can't accept it. He still can't forgive her. We learn more about Hay's past in episode 23. All that is known about Heaven's Gate, located in South America, is that a massive warfare broke out down there on the scale of a world war. A large amount of contractors were deployed to fight each other. Hay, Amber, and Bai were assigned by the Syndicate at the same time in this area. Back then, Hay wasn't even a contractor, yet he still joined in the battle. This is where he gained his title as the Grim Reaper, but his reputation was nothing compared to his sister. She was feared by all. Back at the Evening Primrose HQ, when Hay was about to kill Amber, a bright light emanated all around the facility. The source of this light was Hay. This same light had to do with the disappearance of South America. Misaki realizes that she's being tailed by her own men, making her feel betrayed by both them and her superior. After she finishes visiting the grave of November, she spots Hei walking down the street. Sad and confused by everything that's happening, she asks Hei out to dinner. The two spend time together, eating, joking around, and laughing before they run into another old face. The private detective, Guy, and his assistant, Kiko. Kiko fucking trashes Misaki to her face. After dinner, Misaki and Hei go to a batting cage, where Misaki scores and Hei lands on his ass. With some cold drinks in hand, they talk about the city. Misaki asks if Hei likes it. He says that he does. Though he wasn't meant to stay for long, he now wishes he could make it his home. Listening to the words at face value sounds generic, but we followed Hei up until this point, throughout all his adventures. We know the people he's met, the places he's seen, and those he's helped. We've watched him get along with his neighbors, meet Kenji, save and be saved by Mao, bringing Yin back home with him when she was on the cusp of leaving, and giving Huang a second chance. We've seen him interact with the city folk, eating at their different restaurants, and working all kinds of part-time jobs. This city is no longer just a mission. He now has a place where he can put multiple different faces. He now has memories of this place. On his way home, Mao tells Hei to run away. The Syndicate has betrayed them and wants their entire team assassinated. But before this can be accomplished, Elf Ear Guy shows up to save the day. He wants Hei to come with him. Amber needs Hei at Hell's Gate to recreate what happened in South America, and Hei accepts, as he wants to find out the truth about his sister.